Hi, this is Chris with the Orange Coast College Art Department, covering how to think about the imaginary landscapes exercise for digital painters and illustrators in Photoshop. So you might be getting started in the imaginary landscapes exercise and been thinking, where in the heck to start? And I remember that feeling distinctly. When I was a freshman in college, my first year, I got this exercise, which was to analyze one of the mountains near the college and explain the order of the mountain. And I was thinking, what in the world does that mean? And it was pretty hard. I was stumped for a long time, and it wasn't until much later that I actually figured it out. And that helps us with this imaginary landscape, because if we can figure out the order of our landscape, we can then make variations on that order for our imaginary landscapes. So this is actually the mountain that I did for my project in college. It's called Bishop's Peak. And after long consideration, I started figuring out that I can look at it visually and guess how this mountain was formed. So if I was going to do a little sketch here, what I came to the conclusion with this mountain is there is a big chunk of something that came through the ground and it burst up like a ball shooting through a surface. And that ball was something that didn't erode easily, and the surface was something that did. So that over time, the surface kind of eroded, it lumped up around it, and it eroded. And the ball itself eroded a little bit, but not as dramatically as what was there. And then later on, it was covered with grass. So if we just kind of put in those nice grass fields. And then in California, the oak trees like to nestle in valleys. So wherever there was a valley, we kind of got these oak trees. And then where there was sort of erosion and dirt on the top, there might have been little specks of shrubbery and seed to form. So that's kind of the order of this mountain. And if we can break down those parts, we can think of, gosh, how can we reorder it? How can we get some interesting variety? So with that in mind, I want to try to maybe do a little bit of a sketch for each of my 4 imaginary landscapes to just figure out how they're going to be different from one another. So let's get in and do a little drawing for each. So I'm not going to be super precious with these. I just call these quick thumbnails. And I think the first one, what I'd like to do is maybe get some frequency a little tighter for these mountains. So what would happen if they were close together with each other? And then we've got a little bit of valley happening. So what would happen if I've got sort of the same mountainish form, maybe a little steeper, but a little bit closer together? For the next one, what would happen if I really exaggerated the vertical? So we're just off screen here, and to sort of exaggerate the vertical element of the main rock. For the third one, how about if it wasn't just one big thing that pushed through the surface of the earth, but it kind of exploded at the same time. So it kind of exploded outward, almost like teeth. And then maybe some bigger ones in the center. So pretty tight, dense packing, but with like a circular radial pattern, a little bit more formal. So maybe that'll be my third one. And then my last one, what if it was just one massive ball and the ball never really fractured? What if it was this big iron ball and then never really got busted up, so it's still sort of part of a sphere. So that's sort of 4 different ways to think about how we can take that original order to that mountain and apply it for this exercise of reordering it for an imaginary landscape and paint these out. Okay, so there's a quick sped up version of filling in some of the color here for these imaginary thumbnails. Some came out a little bit better than others. I think the one with a bunch of concentric teeth need a little bit more attention at this scale. So I hope that helps you out. Remember, think about the order of the landscape, how that landscape came to be. And I think that should really help you get going on these imaginary landscapes. Good luck.